Hello, dear friends, and welcome to our podcast in Sight Reading Enlightenment, dedicated to sight reading through the lens of the historically informed performance practice. My name is Darina and
And I'm Sebastien Mitro.
Hello.
Hello. We have in front of us Händel's Opus 1,
Right.
edited and published by John Walsh.
In 17...
I think 23.
Really? So early?
Yeah.
No way.
Because I think it was the older John Walsh, and he died in the 30s. Oh, maybe it is later. Good work.
Yes, 1732. Just using
oh
the
yeah,
German,
I'm just using
like
it. I'm just saying in German.
But in English, you know.
Exactly.
The print, why is it so special? What do you know about this printer?
Well, John Walsh, the pirate.
The pirate.
The pirate.
Why is it?
He would
Why?
he would illegally print music.
He would just steal a piece of music and
just print it.
just bring it to the...
I
Great
even
Britain.
think he had a source that was sort of like a secret source that would actually steal scores from Händel, and then he would just publish them without the
But
consent
not
of
only
Händel.
from Händel, because there was
From a lot of other people.
pirate Stabat Mater.
The Pergolesi.
No, it's Pergolesi, yeah. With some strange numbers in the basso continuo line.
But also he did a lot of interesting things with printing techniques.
Actually, I don't remember what the technique was, but I assume that it was cheaper and faster.
Right. I think he used different plates. Most engravers at the time were using copper plates, and they would use a stylus dipped in acid in order to carve out the notes. But what he did is he started using pewter plates, which is a cheaper material. And with that, he could just make more copies, and very cheaply. And then also, if you look at the score, you can notice that all the clefs are the same. The sharps are the same. The little brackets, everything is sort of the same. And that's because he was using, I believe, a hammer with some sort of little imprint on it, and he would just hammer it into the plate.
But also I was thinking about this printing techniques and engravings. It's one of the most expensive and most difficult, because you should be like, when you engrave something, you should be so concentrated. Also because you have to do it like...
Backwards, reversed.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Like a mirror reflection, yeah.
For sure. And also the engravers were real artists. I mean...
It looks very beautiful.
If you look at the Couperin, it's also exquisite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone knows this sonata, I think. Probably even recorder players and oboe players. It says in the title that you could play these sonatas on German flute or oboe or violin. So
And recorder. Maybe it doesn't say that though.
No, I think in the title it doesn't say that.
Interesting. Because there's the four recorder, like the ones that the recorder players have appropriated, the 5 or 6 of them for
but they are
some sort of
mostly...
princess, I remember.
Yes.
Which princess? Anne.
They are mostly with flats.
Right.
Key signature.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Let's give it a go.
See. Do. I was thinking that it's so simple, and I was enjoying so much.
Yeah.
I was enjoying my sound or whatever, and the key, because it's in G major, and that's so nice for a traverso. So easy that at some point I was distracted and I was just carried away, and it didn't work in some places.
I mean, yeah. I guess if things are simple, we sort of go on autopilot.
Yes.
A bit too much.
But then what are we thinking about during those moments? About
life.
Anything. But that's also, maybe that's a positive
Beauty.
effect of sight reading.
Sure.
That you get so relaxed.
Totally. I mean, in many ways, we know that it's sort of Italian style, This is the Italian style, I guess. And
it's very singing.
It is very singing. It's very cantabile, and you have these walking bass lines that are quite Italian, and also these big jumps. Your first few notes, you already have a sixth down. It's kind of a little extroverted sometimes, and it's just a nice thing to play, I think. Very simply, that's how I feel about it.
Do you think it was meant for sight reading, or maybe for amateurs?
I think so, because also Opus 1 has so many pieces in it. I think it's maybe one of these things that you just bought it and then you whipped it out, when you had a friend over.
Yeah.
And you said, "Oh, do you want to read this after dinner?" And you say, "Yeah, of course." I haven't seen this one. Although now that I'm seeing the second movement, I think what I'm about to say is going to be irrelevant because there's a lot of notes here. But if you make something too hard, you'll probably sell less of it because people will be a bit intimidated.
Right.
But then I turn the page.
And are you intimidated?
A little bit, I must say.
Well, actually, I feel quite comfortable looking at it because I know it's all in G major, and it's all very comfortable to read and to follow the logic. And also, music written by Händel, it's always so enjoyable and so understandable for a musician, for instance, or even an amateur. I don't know. That would be actually very interesting to know the opinion of an amateur after reading this.
I think there's also a difference between if you're playing the melodic instrument and if you are a continuo player, because an amateur continuo player who sees a lot of notes with figures as well, there's not as much time to think. You have to rely a lot on your instincts.
Right.
So I think they would probably have a harder time with this piece.
But then that's really interesting because maybe the level of the continuo player of that time and a flute player, it was different. Maybe the continuo players, they were more sophisticated.
I'm not sure how true this is of the earlier 18th century, but I know that the harpsichord and piano were like a female instrument, so to speak.
But not in the 19th century and later.
No, not in the 19th century, definitely. But I think around this time, and of course, the flute was a male instrument.
Yes.
Right? And when you think about those two positions as amateurs, I'm speaking in the time, of course, not for now, today's standards, from a historical but, the woman's role was a lot different to the man's, in the sense that there was actually time to learn the instrument.
Well, it depends if you were an aristocrat,
Well, I'm assuming that they are for some reason, and I think it's the same with Mozart. You have these piano and violin sonatas, and the violin part is quite a lot easier than the piano part.
Right.
And it's because usually, when you had this courtly activity of man and woman coming together with the instruments, the woman was probably the better musician. And so could play a part apart. So I don't know if this is true for this, but
that's an interesting observation. Remark.
Maybe. Well, I also know that some of the harder, more obligato continuo sonatas, pieces for solo instrument and continuo, were written for Princess Anne.
Right.
And she was a keyboard player. Yeah. And they're actually quite difficult continuo parts. And it's almost like a solo concerto piece.
Well, maybe Händel was trying to inspire her to practice,
Also possible.
Sorry, I modulated.
Oh.
I played it C natural.
Oh.
But I liked your realization. That was nice, sorry. Maybe actually, yes.
I was
let's
thinking
go for it. Yeah, but what can
we
you
can try.
do?
I never remember the names, apparently. Every time I mention a source in this podcast, can't remember. But there's basically a period, so something written in the time, a continual realization, in which all of the fugue sort of entries, where it's the violin, in this case solo, the harpsichord actually plays in unison.
Mm-hmm.
And earlier continuo also, it's really normal to double exactly the upper voice. And people don't like that nowadays.
Wow,
because of they're afraid of their own tuning. Yeah, intonation issues.
But you can make it work somehow.
And you can. I mean, and when it works, I think it's magnificent. I actually thought it was more
notes.
readable
Yeah.
than I anticipated it to be. I've also never played this piece. I know it, like I've heard it many times,
Yes.
but I've never actually
Quite
played
famous.
it. But it's a lot of, actually it really works nicely on keyboard, I find.
Yes.
Like I had a lot of fun reading it.
Right. Yes.
I don't know, I love these things. It's really joyful music.
Nice. What is next?
What is next?
That's like a vermicelli, you know, it's like a pasta,
Yes.
macaroni.
Macaron. Interesting. The piece is in G major.
Yes.
Except in the key signature we have the key signature of D major, which is kind of funny.
But we do have a
C
sharp exactly written out.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, maybe I think they forgot. They just kept doing the page, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Kept engraving because
and
you
know
said
it's
that
the
it was
exact same. Exactly. I think they just made the whole page first.
Right.
And then
they
they
realized
thought, oh
that
crap,
yes.
this is no longer B minor.
But still, they were kind and they put the C sharp.
Yeah.
When we
thankfully
have it. Yeah. No, but even without this, without the indication, without the sharp, it would look a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Because there would be no modulation to the dominant.
Right.
It's just they would
Well,
it's just a bit of a
little
mess.
detail of
but
the print. Yes.
But yeah.
But also I see this how do you call them?
Sharps.
No.
Highly recommend this piece. Great fun. Maybe one day we can do the really long one, the B minor.
Okay.
The 8 movement,
right.
7 movement.
Yes.
That would be fun.
Oh, with a fugue.
With a lot of things.
With a
dances, everything, virtuoso moments.
It's like an opera.
It's like a little opera. So maybe we should have that one day.
I thought we would play the same piece, but just slower, and it will be long.
Oh, that works too.
Thank you very much
Thanks
for listening.
Yeah, it's fine.
But let's say just a couple of words.
Okay, let's say a couple of words.
So.
In summation, good piece. Goodbye. Moments
for our only
insanity.
One listener. Maybe
sure.
Maybe it wouldn't be even
my
Adrian.
mom.
Like no.
No, it's just my mom. It's literally just my mother and my father.
Aww.
Just my parents.